Hello students, today we will learn the Ball poem by John Berryman. John Berryman is an American poet. In this poem, a boy loses a ball. He is very upset. A ball doesn't cost him much, nor is it difficult to buy another ball. Why then is the boy so upset? So, the basic concept of this poem, the ball poem, the ball is just a symbol of the material possessions that we own. The ball can be anything that you like very much. The things which we like very much, we are emotionally and psychologically attached to it. So, this poem teaches us how to not give too much value to possessions in life. A ball can be a person too. You might be madly and deeply in love with a particular person, but due to some natural or some other circumstances, you might have to lose that relationship. That person is drawn away from you, that person is taken away from you, maybe because of some tragedy, maybe because of some circumstances which lead you all to part ways. So, what the poet is trying to tell us that we must not give in to a we must not give in to the children's desires. We must not interfere into every little thing of a child, because every loss teaches a child, and it teaches him to grow stronger day by day. Let's read this beautiful poem. It seems so simple. The poem is an open verse poem, that is, there is no rhyming scheme in this poem. You will see that the rhyming scheme, the poem hasn't followed a particular pattern. The last words are not rhyming. It is just a free flow. So there is a no rhyming scheme in this poem. It's an open verse poem. Let's read the poem. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What? What is he to do? I saw it go merrily bouncing down the streets and then merrily over. There it is in the water. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down, as his young days, all his young days, into the harbor where his ball went. I would not intrude on him. A dime, another ball, is worthless. Now he sees first responsibility. In a word, in a world of possessions, people will take balls. Balls will always be lost, always. Little boys, and no one buys a ball back. Money is external. He is learning, well behind his desperate eyes, the epistemology of loss. How to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know, and most know many days how to stand up. So, as you have seen, the poem is a free verse poem. There is no rhyming scheme, there is no rhythm, but a free flow of emotions, a free flow of thoughts. So, what is the boy now? What is the boy now? When the poet is saying, what is the boy now? He means to say, what might the boy be feeling? What thoughts might be going into the boy's mind? The boy who has lost his ball. Now, this ball has a lot of memory attached with the boy. The boy is deeply attached to the ball. Maybe it was a Christmas present. Somebody must have given him as a gift on his birthday, or his best friend must have gifted him, or maybe his grandparents, or someone very dear to him. So everything is attached with the boy. The ball, the boy is attached to this ball emotionally, and he has a fond memories of the ball. So the poet is wondering how the boy might be feeling. So when he says, what is the boy now? So this question that he's putting here is actually he's talking about what feelings, what thought process might be going into the boy's mind while he's standing there staring at his ball. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go. This shows that the poet was somewhere close by. The boy is now standing at the harbor, and he's gazing at the ball because his ball has gone bouncing down into the harbor, into the water. It seems that the poet is standing very close, somewhere close to the scene where he can see the boy. Huh? And see the way the poet has used the third line, merrily bouncing down the streets and then merrily over. There it is in the water. Here, what characteristic is given to the ball? The ball is merrily, joyfully. The ball is happy to go. A, a feeling, a human feeling is given to the ball. So we can say that the figure of speech used here is a personification. Merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over. Merrily over what? Merrily over the edge into the harbor. There it is in the water. Apart from personification, another figure of speech used here is anaphora. The anaphora is a repetition of words. Here the word what is repeated in the first two lines. See, what is the boy? What is? So the words what is has been repeated. So this is also a repetition of words. Apart from the repetition of words what is, then we also have repetition of the word merrily. Merrily. So we can say the figure of speech used here is repetition. So there are three figure of speech used in the first four lines. There are in fact more than three. I'm giving example of three figure of speeches used here. One is personification, then repetition, and anaphora. So what is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? The word what again is a repetition. What is he to do? I saw it go, merrily bouncing down the streets and then merrily over. At times the person who we are attached with, sometimes we are in love with some person very deeply, but that person no longer wants to be with us. That person is happy to leave us alone and go away. That person has got some other thoughts in his mind, in her mind. So these are all learning processes in life. We need to let go. What the poet means to say, we need to let go. The ball is gone. Nothing can be done. We can't get it back. So also, when a person departs, when a dear one whom we love so much crosses over to the next world, that person is beyond pain. That person is beyond suffering. That person maybe is in a better place than he is today. But we are so much emotionally attached to that person. We keep crying, we keep thinking of that person because we have so many fond memories of that person. Maybe our grandparents, maybe our dear ones. There are so many people losing their lives in this time of the pandemic, especially. Every day in the newspapers, read the obituary. There is no space left for the obituary in the obituary column. There are so many people every day passing away in oblivion, and I wonder how the near and dear ones might be coping up with their loss. So from childhood, from the very childhood, we must learn when we lose things that are dear to us. these things are meant to be lost. These things are meant to be gone. So when the boy loses the ball, the poet says, I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over. There it is in the water. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. So the poet says that he could easily go and tell the boy, don't cry, boy, there are so many other balls. No need to say that. Because, why no need to say that? Because that ball is different. The ball that is lying in the water is different from the ball that the poet perhaps can buy the little boy and give him. He might give him a ball exactly similar, that looks same, that bounces the same way, but still that ball which is lying in the water has fond memories attached to it. This new ball is totally different. It has no memory with it. So what the poet says, no use to say, oh, there are other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. The boy is so sad. He is in a fix. The boy is so sad. He is so sad that he is like a statue. He's still trembling, but still he's like a statue. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. Why is the boy so sad? Because he's staring down all his young days into the harbor where the ball has went. He's staring there, his young days. When he is looking at the ball lying there, he is recollecting all the good time that he had spent with the ball. How he must have played with it so many times with his friends. How on his special day, perhaps his birthday or on a Christmas, on a festive occasion, somebody very dear to him must have given him that ball. Or perhaps he must have won that in some fate as a lucky in a lucky dip, or throwing the ring, or somehow some sort of memory is attached to it. He has spent a lot of time with this ball. So that ball is not just an ordinary ball, it's a ball which is very dear to him, and no other ball can replace that ball. In the same way, we have certain persons in our lives. We feel that nobody can replace that person. Nobody can take that person's place. So when we say that, move on, move on, it's no use saying move on, because only that person knows how dear, how important that other person was. So an ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went. So this is the memory that is engraved in his mind, and when he's staring down, all this memory comes back to him. Rigid means standing like a statue, motionless, but still he is trembling. A dime, another ball is worthless. A dime, another ball is worthless. What the poet means to say, that perhaps the ball that is lying in the water costs just a dime, 10 cents, 10 US cents. Monetarily, it is worthless, but emotionally, it's a treasure. See the difference. Money does not mean everything. The ball may be worthless, the ball may be very cheap, economically very cheap, but here it is priceless for the boy because he has fond memory attached to it. So a dime, another ball is worthless. Now he senses first responsibility. This is a very important line. Now he senses first responsibility. Who is he blaming for the loss? He is blaming himself for the loss. He was playing near a water. He was playing near a harbor. Naturally, if you play near a harbor, sometime or the other, the ball is going to bounce into the water. The ball is going to fall into water. So when you Love something, when you love someone, it is your responsibility to take care of the relationship. When you are attached to someone, you have to see that that someone is comfortable with you. You have to see that that someone should not depart from you. You should not give an opportunity for the person to depart. You have to take care of that person. It is your responsibility. If your near and dear one is sick, it is your responsibility to take care of that person. It is your responsibility to provide medicines. It is your responsibility to give that person an atmosphere where he can recover from, where he can recoup from. If you are deeply in love with a person, it is your responsibility to see that that person is comfortable with you. You are not too possessive about him or her. So here the poet says that the boy has learnt his first lesson in responsibility. We lose many things. Many people will come in our lives, many people will go. But each and every loss will teach us a lesson. And this is the first lesson that the boy learns about responsibility. His first responsibility. In a world of possessions, people will take balls. Balls will be lost always. Little boy. In a world of possessions, here the poet is talking about materialistic things. When he's talking about the ball, he's not talking about one ball, he's not talking about a particular ball. He's talking about the material things that we have in life. Today, something is yours, tomorrow, somebody will take it away from you. Today, you might be in a good position, you might be the principal of a school, but there are so many people vying for that post. There are so many people who are trying to pamper the management, to dethrone you from your throne, to take away your kingdom. Kings have lost their kingdoms, and you are just a normal child. Today you might like something, but somebody else likes the same thing. So that person will try to take that things from you. So what the poet means to say, that people will take balls, balls will be lost always, little boy. So this is the first lesson in life, not to attach too much to materialistic things. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes the epistemology of loss. How to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know. And most know many days how to stand up. So, what is the boy learning? He is learning the feeling of loss, how it feels to lose something. Epistemology of loss is understanding the nature of loss, what it means to lose something. The Greek word episteme, the word epistemology is taken from the Greek word episteme, meaning knowledge. It comes from the word meaning to understand, to know. It is a study of nature, of knowledge itself. So, epistemology here, the poet says that he is learning the meaning of loss, how it feels to lose something. So, therefore, the poet is not interfering in the boy's affair. The poet is not jumping into the water and retrieving the ball back for him. The poet is not going and buying another ball for the boy. The poet is allowing the boy to learn an important lesson in life. And that important lesson in life is to stand up, to stand up, to know how to stand up to losses. Many times what we see, people they tend to score very good marks in their board exams in the 10th class, in the 12th class, but when they join engineering college, when they join a medical field, and when they are unable to cope up with the studies there, they compare the marks that they used to get in school, they compare the marks they used to get in junior college. with the marks that they are achieving now. And they are so emotionally weak that they take the wrong step. So here the poet is asking us to be emotionally strong. Build up your emotions. Learn to face loss. Victory and loss are actually the different sides of the same coin. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. So we should learn to cope up with loss. We should learn to understand the feeling of being lost, of losing something that is dear to us, of people taking away things from us. We just cannot hold on to things, materialistic things. That is the main theme of this poem. I hope you have understood it quite well.